What's going on, people? It's Lando. I'm up in the building tonight. Just a few things I wanted to talk about. Maximilian's out tonight, but we were just having a conversation about the things that we encounter when it comes to the interaction with women, especially with just conversations. And I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? I think it would be real cool if I put together this top 10 list of why it's impossible to have an honest conversation with women. So, without further ado, here it is. Number 10. Conversations are supposed to be a mutual exchange of information, thoughts, and ideas, right? A shared experience. With women, the focus is always routed back to them and what's happening in their world. They check out of the conversation if the topic goes anywhere else. I'm pretty sure you guys realize this. You out on a date and you're listening to this woman just go on and on and on because you know how women just love to hear themselves talk. And then you try to interject just so you can kind of participate in this thing you call a conversation. And then she just kind of glazes over, looks away, looks everywhere except at you, or either just starts messing with her phone or doing something else to entertain herself instead of being engaged with whatever the discussion is. Not saying all, but most women, they do this sort of thing. Number 9, usually when women engage in a conversation, it's strictly for their own attention. You are there so someone can pay attention to them and listen to what they have to talk about. Again, like I said, your participation in the conversation really doesn't matter that much. With women, the focus is always about them and what's happening in their world. If you ever look at the mannerisms of a woman in a conversation, anytime the subject matter diverts from her, she begins to check out and glaze over. Ultimately, she simply becomes disinterested, and you could see it in her eyes. She looks away, looks at different things, plays with her cell phone, those types of things. If you look at it from the perspective of gain, the best way to get a good rapport with a woman is just to keep her talking. To prove what I'm saying as far as how your participation doesn't matter that much, try it sometime. If you ever go on a date, just keep her talking. Just sit there, nod your head, wave, do whatever to make it feel to her like you're paying attention. Ask her questions that route back to her talking about herself. And at the end of that date, I promise you, she's going to say, you are the best conversationalist she's ever had. But you didn't say anything because it was about her the whole time. Number 8, they lie or greatly embellish the truth. I'm pretty sure you've seen it a lot that when women engage in a conversation and they're talking about themselves, usually they try to puff themselves up to be more than what they actually are. For example, if you ask a woman what her employment is, she'll usually try to play on the words and just manipulate the situation to make herself sound more impressive than she actually is. For example, she says she's a government employee. As a man in your mind, you're thinking, okay, she must have a federal job where she's doing something with a high rank. But the reality is, she might be just a social worker, which is state government, or a mail person. So she's hitting the pavement delivering mail. Now, that doesn't sound all that impressive. Now, in terms of being completely misleading, a woman can say that she has her own business and she's always networking, but maybe she's just doing hair out of her living room because she has no other form of employment. Number 7, they don't think critically. They speak based off of what they feel at that moment in time. Usually, when a woman says something, she determines how much sense it makes after she's heard it already coming out of her own mouth. And usually that's where you get the whole thing where if a woman says something stupid, oh, I didn't mean it like that. What I really meant was, and then they keep talking. So that kind of rolls into number 6, which is they don't think before they speak. This is a big one because women just say things and They say it because they don't anticipate anyone ever correcting them because they're women. It's like to correct a woman in what she's saying is mansplaining. So they like to say. Number five, they can't counter a viewpoint without being passive aggressive or outright offensive. Usually, when a woman is talking about anything and a man interjects or has a reply that is counter to the idea that she's trying to form, when she doesn't have a counter to that or anything to back up her claim, it then turns into a shit test. And then if it goes beyond a shit test of just being passive aggressive and making snide comments because she can't back up what she's saying, then it will turn into shaming tactics or just outright ad hominem attacks. Number four, women generally don't have a unique or original thought in their heads. And I say this because usually, if a woman does engage in a relatively fulfilling conversation with a man, usually her ideas are formed as a reply off of what he's saying. So basically, if a man is saying something that is worthwhile or interesting or noteworthy or anything like that, then she will try to copy and play off of his experiences and try to make those her own so she can kind of join in on the conversation instead of bringing some data of her own to complement what's being talked about. You know what I mean? Because in that sense, and I'm pretty sure a lot of guys have had it to where they would talk with a woman and then it becomes boring because now she's repeating back to him things that he already knows. You see where I'm coming from? Number three, now we're getting close to the top. Number three is selective hearing. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys have experienced it when they're talking with a woman and having a conversation on some level, and she likes to cherry pick what he's saying and then tries to turn that around against him for whatever reason. Maybe she's starting to feel inadequate because she's starting to realize that she doesn't have anything worthwhile to bring to the table when it comes to a conversation. So now she just starts to just pick and choose what she wants to hear, which kind of rolls into number two. They want to define reality according to how it falls out of their mouth. And what I mean by that is when a woman wants to selectively hear what someone else is saying or even what she is saying, she wants to define what she means even though it doesn't line up with what she did or what she even said earlier. So this becomes a cascading effect and a slippery slope of hypocrisy, lies, deflections, and just overall unaccountability. The funny part about when this type of thing happens is when a woman is caught midstream in a lie or a deflection or being told this is not what you said before. What you actually said was, and then she hears it and then there's no way she can deny it. Well, I didn't mean it like that. What I really meant was, and then, a man can proceed to say, but that's not what you said. You know, it it just deteriorates, and I think that's where having a conversation with a woman can be difficult because if it becomes boring, it can turn into an argument very quickly, especially if it doesn't have any logical basis behind it. Finally, here we are at number one. Solipsism rules their thinking. They perceive everything based on anecdotal evidence from their own solitary existence, as if their experiences is universal truth. This is the thing that is very irritating because you could have a conversation with a woman and explain to her something that either you've observed in different circumstances that may or may not have to do with you. And then her response is, well, that's not how she's trying to pick from her own life example is if she doesn't experience it, then it must not exist. Or, the women on my family are not like that. Or the people in my circle don't behave like that. And it's always becomes, well, if these things don't happen with me, how can these things be true? Something must be wrong with you, or you have a problem with women because I'm not like that. Oh, yep, that's it. I'm pretty sure all of you guys have heard the Nawalt before. So that's my list for the top 10 reasons why it's impossible to have an honest conversation with women. Now, if you all can do me a favor, bang that bell, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section about this list. Do you feel like there's something I may have left out, something I could have added? Let me know your thoughts to expound on this list. Definitely help support this channel. We're trying to make it grow and be successful. And that's all I really got for you tonight. Thanks for listening. This is Lando signing out for Unapologetically Men. Peace.